The business summit is as a result of a number of workshops that I've been attending, and I realized that there is need to, bring experts to kind of also speakers meet and network. So that is why I invited speakers from the States, UK, South Africa, and Zambia. That was the initial thought around that, was to get the speakers to unite and also network, exchange ideas, because these are choice speakers.
First and foremost, thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure and honor. I've done quite a lot. I've got about 15 years of experience in financial institutions. I've worked right across different markets. I've worked here in Zambia, and I've also worked outside the country. My specialization is digital banking, and that's what I do for a living. I help organizations transform. I help organizations handle innovation.
I see myself as an international knowledge exchange expert, or an expert that thinks about the business strategy of education and research. So I'm that individual who, I don't go to a laboratory, but the point is I help look for funding. I can get you an international partner, a regional partner to help you with your research. I can think carefully about models of converting your research into actually impact with industry. So that's basically how I transgress. So basically, because of my role, I started engaging a lot more people than usually I would have. So I don't only engage just professors. I started engaging students, folks in industry. And so all these different gaps and disconnections started becoming obvious that informed my knowledge, which informed the book.
Ever since I read this book, The Graduate Code, that's why I've gone crazy. I've never put up a business summit like that, where I've pulled speakers from, different nations like that. I mean, this was a crazy leap into the deep end, So the author of this book, DrAkanimo Odon, he kind of pulls you into stepping into international thinking and thinking ahead of things.
As long as you're keeping abreast with the new happenings internationally, and this is important, the world is internationally, because what normally happens is that you just learn what is happening locally. Now you are in trouble, because the international is combating and literally influencing the local at a very fast pace because of the interconnectivity we have in the world. So you never learn to remain a local champion. It's a waste of time. So in your profession, in your career, always ask the question, what is happening in my field internationally? Because trust me, it might still remain local as it's currently happening. I can assure you, in a few months from now, that will become the in thing, and now you are left behind. So always be abreast with the happenings and the systems and models in your field internationally, which is the reason why further learning is very vital.
I am a thought and transformation leader, a speaker, a trainer, a coach, specifically peak performance, digital marketer, pastor, networker, and columnist. In fact, I am a radio and television personality as well on various stations as well as platforms across the country. I am a recipient of the Bank of Zambia Award for Financial Literacy, Individual Contribution to Financial Literacy, received that in 2016.
One young man that also encouraged me is a young man from South Africa. Of course, all these speakers are doing powerful things, but I just wanted to point out, his name is Trevor. He hasn't gone too far in education, and he grew up in Matero, but the things that he's doing, the young man is a millionaire.
Hi, this is Trevor Mumba. I'm so excited to be a part of the Global Business Summit. We are all going through life trying to figure out what life is all about, trying to build businesses, trying to create a solution to a problem out there. And this is what this Business Summit is all about. How do we leverage on all the opportunities that we have around us? How do we maximize on the opportunities that we have? But then most importantly, how do we build better relationships? How can you use your story to inspire others into greatness as you build yourself up into a better person too? So let's have all these conversations as honest as they can be.
A lot of things have become so difficult. As you can see in our nation, the dollar has, just shot up like that. So that is why I've titled the summit as, gaining momentum. As we are gaining momentum, how? through synergy, okay, which is really networking and increasing the networking and increasing energies amongst ourselves, and buying from one another, having trade missions, having workshops to enrich ourselves, joining and affiliating to other existing organizations and other people that are doing certain things a little better than what you're doing. And I've said, so it is through synergy and sustainable innovation.
I am bringing to the table the topic of relevance. One of the key issues that I think is such a big deal today is the topic of relevance in a changing and dynamic world. 4IR is upon us. In case you don't know what that is, Fourth Industrial Revolution is upon us, and it has disrupted every sector you can think of.
We are in the fourth industrial revolution, and it is time for us to internationalize. Okay, many of us are doing a lot of businesses, but we haven't yet really grown the businesses to international levels so that we can compete on this ground, of international ground, so that we can actually leverage or leave a legacy. We are simply still trying to really do something but lagging behind.
Where we are as Africa is still requiring a lot of work. For example, most of the phone systems that we have around the country are feature phones, USSD based. So you realize that you are still limited in the sort of solutions you can provide. Now, that's not the only thing that is an issue. There's also a lot of other things we have to look at, like investment in infrastructure, for example, that carries network for us to be able to transact. But also, you also have to look at the learning culture. There's a lot of opportunity for Africa. What I do like is that we, like I said, we have intention. Other countries are a bit further away. When you look at Kenya, when you look at Rwanda, you realize that they're a bit step ahead. But then it's encouraging that when you look at the government pronouncements, there's intention, there's also delivery policies to drive, to drive the population to evolve and be part of the industrial revolution that's lying ahead.
Most professors have been in academia for a pretty long time, so they've got a rudimentary level, if like a career progression. If you look at their CVs, it's lots of paper progression. Maybe they've done really amazing things administratively. They've been the faculty head or department. But except the ones who become consultant or work with industry, not very many professors actually have that expertise of working with industry. That's a fact. And these are the folks you leave the entire premise of industry engagement to their hands when they have no leverage or expertise with industry. Isn't that a crisis? So my point is that, now, I'm not saying that the professors are at fault. It's a systemic thing. I'm saying that something makes sense if a university through policy, or at least the government says, wait a minute, we can make things better here. Let's empower professors, or even if it's just senior lecturers or faculty deans. So my point is, empower people in positions of authority with some understanding of what happens in the job market. Mastering
of ICT and computer and technical skills. You will not believe how relevant those are in this day and age. The days of PAs are gone. How many entrepreneurs can afford PAs? How many entrepreneurs can afford to keep going to a business center to do work? You need to master your skills. You need to master how to use the smartphone, how to use the tablet, how to use your laptop, how to manage all the different apps that increase the efficiency of your work, how to master tools, and how to create systems around you as in the gig economy. These are critical things that most people don't know.
We have to tap into what is happening today and participate, because we're in a global world. So please document. One of my partners, DrAkanimo, likes saying, do a chakam, do a chakam effect. So every time you're doing something, take a selfie. I was in such and such a place, and I did this, and I did this and that and that and that, and say something. If you don't know how to use social media platforms, get a young guy, a teenager, your grandson, your granddaughter. They know these things.
The world is moving every time, and the speed of movement sometimes is very, very, very scary. We live in a jet age, the fourth industrial revolution. where basically the Internet of Things and cloud computing and advanced robotics is the order of the day. So to stay alive and relevant, to stay important in your sector, you have to keep learning.
I would love to use this opportunity to help everyone out there to demystify the myth that digital banking is for the elite, but also to just understand what the basics are there about digital banking, because people do not understand. Digital banking has necessarily been restricted to mobile banking because that's what people use on a daily basis. But I think there's a lot more that people need to understand around how our lives are transforming because of digital. Digital extends much more to just the use of money in its literal state. It's also in the way we look at things. It's also in the way our culture, and also just what does it mean for a customer or for an individual, be it young or adult, in the future. What will digital banking look like? What should they start preparing? And that's where I think we'll come in and help people to understand how understanding important aspects of our lives, such as digital banking, is important. There's a key topic, for example, financial inclusion. A huge part of our population at the moment is unbanked. So what are we doing? What are we doing as industry leaders to help bridge that gap, to help people understand and to bring solutions together so that everyone can inclusively participate in the financial market?
This platform has ignited the energies in me to keep on pushing, and it has opened up windows of information which I took for granted.
Okay, I'm Prudence Mpundu. Then I'm an environmental health by profession. I'm currently working at Levi Medical University. Then I'm also doing a research in my PhD in listeriosis. I never thought that I can use my Facebook account to introduce what I'm doing. I think that is also one of the tools that we can use as researchers to be known.
Little did I know that when I just Google something, I can find it. When I tried to Google that, where you say international, you put your what you're doing, I tried it and I saw a lot of conferences which already I'm attracted to one, and I'm going to do part of my abstract that I'm working on and post it and see what will happen to me.
I wish I had had this exposure or this workshop during my undergraduate years, because I would definitely be in a whole different space. I think it's more of maybe a cultural issue, because that's what we see most people using it for. You just tend to fall into that natural trend and rhythm without actually understanding that you can use these social tools to position yourself even in the academic world, even in the professional world.
First, the most important thing is it would be nice for us to share the Zambia context, where we coming from, and most importantly, where we're going, because then people need to understand where they will participate, and people need to understand what they will be able to expect in the future.
Academia says we have knowledge. Industry says we have money. Government says we have power. And I was doing a session one day, and the lady said, by the way, Doc, you forgot an important segment. And I said, well, who are those? And they said, okay, what about civil societies and NGOs? And I said, well, what do they have? And she says, well, they have rights. I said, well, that's interesting. So let's put them in the mix. And the question is this. Of the 4 segments, or the 4 important segments of society, who actually should drive the conversation to bridge the gap? In my view, and obviously having engaged with lots of people, the government is in the best position to drive the bridging of those gaps by policy. And the simple reason is they've got power.
What we are doing now is sharing information that people must be able to use to make good informed decisions around their lifestyle, be it spiritual, be it financial market. And I'm looking forward, because at the end of the day, my experience on a daily basis is that there's a huge gap in understanding digital and what it does to people on a daily basis.
I'm engaging with industry, I'm engaging with folks in academia and universities and secondary schools, but also been engaging with folks in the religious sector, where basically trying to understand how individuals relate to each other, but ultimately how individuals think of internationalization in a global era.
If we start solving the small problems from the home, our communities, everyone will find something to do.
Don't post things that are just, I was going to town. Oh, I'm drinking Coca-Cola. Oh, this. Come on. Talk about your brand. Talk about your services, because that way you are already internationalizing. And when you begin to just do, few things, adding value to your brand and looking for problems, because whenever there is a crisis, that is when opportunities come in. When you begin to interact with other people, you find that it will be easy for something that would have taken you long. Like, for example, I've always wanted to reach out to students, in the universities. Just interacting with DrAkanimo Odon, with the book that is written, you know what has happened? I'm able to reach out to many. Now I've got friends who are vice chancellors. Why? Through just internationalizing my life, internationalizing my brand, internationalizing my business.